This week, we were asked to help with a nurse privately in a big emergency department within Australia. And if you wonder if we can do the same for your loved one in an emergency department, stay tuned. I've got news for you. My name is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehome.com, and I have a case study today, which is a little bit unusual. It's actually very unusual compared to other work that we're doing, but I think it's newsworthy, and I think it's worthy to put it on our blog. So here's the situation. We had a phone call on Tuesday night from a very distressed lady who said that her 75-year-old dad has been in an emergency department in a big hospital, in a big major metropolitan hospital in one of the major capital cities within Australia. And she said, look, he's been there for 18 hours now, and he's got dementia, and he's possibly got an infection. And they've done the x-rays, they've taken the bloods, and they've done the CT scans, but they have no idea what's happening so far. And there's no end in sight of him either being admitted or being discharged, and it's already been 18 hours. And she asked whether we can send one of our critical care nurses into the ED department and look after her overnight, because she had no confidence that this big emergency department in a major metropolitan hospital in one of the big capital cities in Australia had the capacity or the willingness or the know-how to look after her dad, who was in an extremely vulnerable state, safely. Now, for context, there still is the 4-hour rule in the emergency department that after a patient has been seen and is to be admitted in a hospital, that they need to be in a hospital bed within 4 hours. Now, we are talking about 18 hours here, right? And by the time our nurse showed up around 10:30 at night and finished around 9 a.m. in the morning, there still was no hospital bed, right? Scary stuff. And, that would have been 18 and another, 11 hours, 29 hours without a hospital bed in ED on a trolley. And the family having no confidence that the emergency department is well staffed or staffed with the right skills, with the right attitude, that their dad gets the care and treatment he needs. Now, that also is in the context of us here at Intensive Care at Home, having provided an emergency department bypass service for the Western Sydney local area health district, where we have basically sent our critical care nurses into the home to avoid emergency department admissions, right? Take the pressure off emergency departments and keeping people at home, right? So this particular hospital obviously has not thought about emergency department bypass services, because there's a very good chance we could have kept this man at home with an emergency department bypass service, right? With IV antibiotics at home, starting oral antibiotics, whatever it is that this man needed, right? We could have provided at home in this instance. Of course, there are many patients that need to go to the emergency department, but there are also many patients that can avoid the emergency department either with virtual ED. A lot of hospitals are now doing virtual ED, which is fantastic, of course, or with an emergency department bypass service that we can provide with Intensive Care at Home. Now, interestingly enough, the client, after we provided, it was a one-off shift. The client eventually went onto a hospital ward, but the client's family then also asked, could we provide the same service if their dad was to go to another emergency department that is closer to their home? And I said to the client that, of course, we could. However, what's the point if he was to go back to an emergency department all the time? Wouldn't it be a better solution to provide the emergency department bypass service, assess their dad at home, right, and provide services there, right? Just for context, an ED admission is around $2,000. With our emergency department bypass service, it costs around $200 to $300 during the week, and around $400 to $500 on a weekend, right? But still saves a lot of money and keeps the EDs empty that are already overcrowded and where there's ambulance ramping, right? And patients can't get into ED to begin with, let alone into a hospital bed once they've been seen in ED. EDs used to be safe places within Australia, and hospitals were seen as safe places. Unfortunately, there's such a big crisis, and it can be fixed. It can be fixed, but it needs some creativity, and it needs private services, and it needs an engagement with the public system and the private healthcare services like intensive care at home. We have a lot to offer to public hospitals and private hospitals as well, keeping their EDs empty and only looking after the patients that come to ED that absolutely need to go to an ED to get the treatment they need. A lot more can be done at home than in a hospital than most people think is possible. So on the one hand, we can, send our nurses privately into an emergency department as an advocate, as a nurse looking after your loved one while EDs are struggling to meet demand. Of course, we can do that. But the much better approach here is for EDs to come back to us and have a conversation how we can help EDs to keep them empty in the first place, take the pressure off EDs, making sure that we can provide an emergency department bypass service at home. For example, we have changed nasogastric tubes at home. We have changed PEG tubes at home. We have changed catheters, RDC, SPC. We have changed tracheostomy tubes at home. Even changed casts, give IV antibiotics, put cannulas in, take bloods. Can do a lot of things at home that you don't even think is possible. So with intensive care at home, we are currently sending our critical care nurses into the home 24 hours a day. That means we are providing a genuine alternative to a long-term stay in intensive care for ventilation, tracheostomy, home BiPAP, home CPAP, ventilation without tracheostomy, tracheostomy without ventilation, home TPN, home IV potassium infusion, home IV magnesium infusions, IV fluids, and IV antibiotics. We're also providing ventilation weaning at home. We're also providing central line management, PICC line management, Hickman's line management, as well as port management at home. We're also providing nasogastric tube, PEG tube, and PETch tube management at home, as well as palliative care services at home. We're also providing cough assist therapy at home. And like I said, we're also sending our critical care nurses into the home for emergency department bypass services. And like I said, we have done so successfully as part of the Western Sydney Local Area Health District, their In Touch program, saving approximately $2,000 per patient that we keep at home instead of them going to the emergency department. With intensive care at home, we are currently operating all around Australia, in all major capital cities, as well as in all regional and rural areas. We're an NDIS-approved service provider all around Australia, TAC and WorkSafe in Victoria, iCare in New South Wales, NIISQ in Queensland, as well as the Department of Veteran Affairs all around Australia. Our clients and we as a provider have also received funding through public hospitals, private health funds, as well as departments of health. With all of that said, intensive care at home is therefore in a position to cut the cost of an intensive care bed by around 50%. An intensive care bed costs around $5,000 to $6,000 per bed day. An intensive care at home costs around $2,500 to $3,000 per bed day, and we're freeing up the most sought after bed in the hospital, which is the ICU bed. Most importantly, we're improving the quality of life for patients and their families which is a win-win situation for all stakeholders. We're also the only service provider in Australia that has achieved third-party accreditation for intensive care home nursing in 2025. We have been achieving this level of accreditation since 2012. No other provider has achieved this high level of accreditation in the community and has created more intellectual property for intensive care at home than we have. This puts us in a position to employ hundreds of years of critical care nursing experience combined in the community. No other service provider in 2025 employs a higher skill level in the community than we do, which enables us to look after the highest acuity adults and children in the community in Australia safely. And if you are at home already and you're watching this and you're stuck in ICU and you realize that you don't have the right level of support, I'll give you a very tangible and real-world example today. One of our first clients, when we first got started over 10 years ago, was a client who was at home initially on a ventilator with a tracheostomy with a support worker model 24/7, of course. Support workers are dangerous and negligent. Having support workers look after a client at home on a ventilator with a tracheostomy, that is like flying the airplane with a cabin crew instead of the pilot, because anyone on a ventilator with a tracheostomy is at very high risk of medical emergencies 24/7, or even at risk of dying if they don't have a team of critical care nurses looking after them 24/7. This is actually evidence-based and is documented in our mechanical home ventilation guidelines that you can find on our website at intensivecarehome.com. Think about this logically. In an intensive care unit in a hospital, you wouldn't have support workers looking after a critical care patient on a ventilator with a tracheostomy. So why would anyone in their right mind and with a conscience would do that in a home care environment in the community? So the client I'm referring to found out about us eventually. The ICU that the client was going back to regularly, or pretty much was living there, found out about us, and we were proving our concept with this client very fast by taking him home. When we worked with the client, we sent him intensive care nurses 24 hours a day instead of him living in intensive care, and he never ever went back into ICU ever again, and we were proving our concept there very fast. We can do the same for you if you're not safe at home, which includes the advocacy for funding that goes along with it. We have always successfully advocated for our clients. Otherwise, we would not be in business. The same is applicable for those stuck in ICU. Similar to what you're looking for, reach out to us. So we'll make it happen for you like we did for this client. We will take you through the right steps, including NDIS, other funding bodies, to get the funding and all the advocacy that goes along with it. This is also why we are providing level 2 and level 3 NDI support coordination. We have a team of NDI support coordinators and they have a wealth of knowledge. I've done an interview with Amanda Riches, one of our NDI support coordinators, and I will put a link to an interview with Amanda in the written version of this blog. We're also providing TAC case management and WorkSafe case management in Victoria with Lucy McCotter. And if you're an NDI support coordinator or a case manager from another organization watching this, and you're looking for nursing care for your participants, please reach out to us as well. If you're looking for funding for nursing care for your participants, and you don't know how to go about it and what evidence to provide, I encourage you to reach out to us as well. We will help you with the right level of funding and with the right level of advocacy. We're also providing NDIS specialist nursing assessments done by critical care nurses with a legal nurse consulting background. If you are a critical care nurse and you're looking for a career change and you want to join a very progressive, dynamic and high-performing team of critical care nurses in the community, we're employing hundreds of years of critical care nursing experience combined. If you're looking for a career change, we're currently hiring for critical care nurses in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, in Albury-Wodonga, in Bendigo, in Geelong, and in Warragul in Victoria. If you have worked in critical care nursing for a minimum of 2 years in pediatric ICU ED and you have already completed a postgraduate critical care nursing qualification, we are delighted hearing from you. I have a disclaimer because we are offering a tailor-made solution for our clients. which includes regular staff, our clients also do want the same staff coming over and over again because they are very vulnerable and very special. That's why we need regular staff. So if you're looking for agency work where you can come and go, this will not be the right fit for you. We are looking for consistency and our clients are looking for consistency. So please only apply with us if you can give us regular and consistent availabilities for shifts and you're really keen on building relationships with us and with our clients. And if you are an intensive care specialist or an ED specialist, we also want to hear from you. We're currently expanding our medical team as well. Also help you eliminate your bed blocks in your ICU and in your ED for your long-term patients or for your regularly readmitting patients with our critical care nursing team at home. We're here to help you take the pressure off your ICU and ED beds. And in most cases, you won't even pay for it. Even if you do pay for it, it is much more cost effective than what you're paying for in ICU and ED. You get the same level of care. And if you're a hospital executive watching this and you have bed blocks in your ICU, ED, respiratory wards, home TPN, please reach out to us as well. We can help you eliminate your bed blocks very fast. If you're in the US or in the UK and you're watching this and you need help, we want to hear from you as well. We can help you there privately with one-on-one consulting and hiring ICU nurses privately. Once again, our website is intensivecarehome.com. Call us on one of the numbers on the top of our website or simply send us an email to info@intensivecarehome.com. And if you like my videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel for regular updates for families with intensive care at home and intensive care. Click the like button, click the notification bell, share this video with your friends and families, and comment below what you want to see next, what questions and insights you have from this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehome.com, and I will talk to you in a few days. Take care for now.